Bore da pawb, I'm really pleased to have this opportunity to speak to you today and to open this year's TPAS Cymru conference. I'm really sorry that I can't be with you in person. I can see that over the next 2 days you have a great opportunity to discuss and debate all the key issues facing the housing sector today. And of course, you'll be talking about the importance of tenants and communities' voices being at the centre of everything that we do and all of our work. You will have the opportunity to discuss the energy and cost of living crisis now facing us. It's having a devastating impact on so many tenants and creating enormous challenges for many landlords too. For tenants, meeting the cost of everyday essentials that we have so long taken for granted is an increasing burden, and I know it's really hitting hardest those people living on lower incomes. Last year, 14% of households in Wales were living in fuel poverty. Modelling suggests that this could have increased to up to 45% by April of this year. Even before the most recent energy price rises, we know households in the private rented sector were most likely to be in fuel poverty. We learned last month that more households are being placed into prepayment gas and electricity meters. Figures from Ofgem suggest that nearly 60,000 new prepayment meters were installed in Britain late last year to March of this year. We know that prepayment customers are more likely to be those facing the greatest disadvantage and at risk of being, in effect, disconnected when they cannot afford to top up. Last year, almost 9,000 people in Britain contacted Citizens Advice because they couldn't afford to top up their prepayment meters. Worryingly, to September this year, that number had already more than doubled to 20,000 people. Energy debts are now the most common reason for people contacting Citizens Advice for help and support across Wales. Inflation at 10.1% is making the cost of everyday living far more expensive. Many people are being forced to cut back on food for themselves and their families because they simply cannot afford it. Almost 2,000 people were referred by Citizens Advice to food banks during September alone. This shows the strain rising costs are having on households across Wales. Alongside my Cabinet colleagues in the Welsh Government, we have urged the UK Government to use the planned autumn statement to offer more help to struggling households and businesses. Many of the levers to tackle poverty lie with the UK Government. More targeted support is needed for energy bills, and it is essential that welfare benefits are uprated in line with inflation. Since October last year, the Welsh Government has invested more than £380 million on initiatives to support lower income households. This included a cost of living payment of £150, benefiting more than 1 million households. This funding also made possible the Welsh Government Fuel Support Scheme. It has so far supported over 200,000 households with a £200 payment towards their fuel costs since it launched in September. It's really important that tenants are encouraged to claim the support that may be available to them through our own and through the UK Government schemes. And it is essential that UK Government takes immediate action to increase the local housing allowance rates so they reflect the rents that people are actually paying across Wales. A report published by the Bevan Foundation showed that between May and December last year, the local housing allowance rate only fully covered the advertised rent of 3.8% of properties across 10 Welsh local authorities. Only 2.1% of properties advertised across the same period advertised rent at or below the local housing allowance and did not have a requirement that would exclude a low-income tenant. The UK Government policy on LHA is pushing many low-income people into homelessness. Others are trapped within the homelessness system due to a lack of available accommodation within the private rented sector. I will continue to rigorously lobby the UK Government for immediate change to the LHA rate. Across a range of issues within my portfolio, I have valued the insights I've received from tenants and from landlords and from organisations and from communities. The feedback I received through TPAS Cymru and their partners makes a really significant contribution to developing our effective policies. The workshops, surveys and events over the past 12 months have helped develop our plans on issues such as building safety and our proposals for the new Welsh Housing Quality Standard, which I'll be launching next year. Working with our partners, we're delivering on our commitments to decarbonise Welsh homes, to protect our planet for future generations. During this conference, you will hear more about what we are doing through our optimised retrofit programme to improve the energy efficiency of homes in the social housing sector. The learning from this programme will help reduce the demand for energy to maintain a warm home right through the winter and a cool home in summer across the whole housing stock in Wales. The regulation team will be talking about how the revised regulatory standards and the new framework for housing associations has been working. particularly in relation to tenants being empowered and supported to influence the way services are designed and delivered, and also supporting tenants to influence strategic decisions taken by their landlords. So whilst there is much to celebrate, I know there are very many challenges ahead and we must navigate them together. I'm really keen to hear the views from tenants and landlords on how to do this. Early next year, I'll be starting a listening exercise on how tenants engage with landlords on local housing issues and how tenants can most effectively engage with ministers in the Welsh Government. This will be an opportunity to have your say on how we engage with and hear the views of tenants across Wales as we develop our policies and plans for the future. And on that note, I hope you have an interesting, vibrant and productive conference. I'm really looking forward to hearing more about your discussions and the outcomes from the next 2 days. Really sorry again that I'm not there. Diolch yn fawr. Thank you for listening.